Go ahead and start talking because Coach Mayo likes to talk. And I'm going to go ahead and share this with what I have. Hold on, let me think here. Then I'm going to share my screen and we're just going to talk about some of these things. I can find it. There we go. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So today we're going to talk about mobility and really what it means to be mobile. You know, like how important it really is to a person with a disability. You know, I think you've all experienced going somewhere on your parents' in your parents' car, on a bus, on a train, all these different things. We might have the ability to draw on my presentation, but if you can, let's try not to. All right. So what we're going to do is go through this little talk. So here are some of my thoughts about independence and mobility. But we can also just chat. If anyone wants to, let me know. I'm going to expand this so I can see a bunch of things. So I can see all of your faces. Abby, tell me what being independent means to you.
Well, it helps me like be super independent and I can go places that I want to go and I don't have to rely on somebody else needing to take me there. And I also don't have to worry about if other people have accommodations for me. Like I can have my own thing.
Yeah. Did you go anywhere before? Did you use any public transportation before you had a car?
Not really. I don't really have that where I live.
Not up in Reno. Reno has no public transportation.
Not that I took.
Okay. Emily, how about you? Have you used any transportation? Let me see if I can unmute you. There we go. Give it a second.
I would just go walking with like my family or with my brother. I didn't really take public buses. I don't really like doing that.
All right, any of that. Sometimes they're accessible. Most of the time they're accessible, but sometimes you have to wait for the bus that has the lift.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Wait for the accessible one sometimes.
Yeah.
But airport buses usually have like a big ramp that folds down for everybody.
Yeah, no, definitely. So one of the reasons why we talk about independence and mobility at our camp is because doing sports keeps your body in shape and allows you to keep staying able and mobile as you live your life. It's just one of the perks of doing sports. You know, so no matter what age you get, you still get out there and play some tennis, do some basketball, do some biking. That allows you to keep that body going. You know, because as a person with a disability, if you are not staying able and then not staying mobile, it takes a toll on some of your joints. It takes a toll on gaining some weight. It takes a toll on your ability to stay active and to take advantage of the tools that are out there. And just like Abby was mentioning, being independent and having your being mobile also means that you can take more control of the world around you, that you don't have to rely on other people. Now, there's nothing wrong with learning and asking about it and relying on other people to get that information, because you're going to have to, because if you don't know how, you have to ask someone or you have to do some research for yourself. But then you can find your way to the bus stop or save up money and take a Lyft or an Uber if your parents are okay with it. Now, Abby and Emily are a little bit older. They have a certain level of responsibility that they can do. But if you're younger, maybe your parents aren't ready for that. But now is the best time to start asking about these things. What does a car look like for me? What does my being able to go out and hang out with my friends look like to me? So you can start asking these questions now rather than later, rather than right when you turn 16 or 17. and then you don't really know what you're doing. But if you're asking the questions now, you know exactly what you're doing the day you turn 15 and a half and you go get that the student driver's license. Isn't that what you did, Abby?
Yeah.
Yeah. So around then. And so gaining independence is just more important in general for everything. What do you think, Carnisha?
Yeah, it allows you to not have to rely on anyone.
Yeah.
And that was what was most important to me when I learned how to drive and got my license. And there was no public transportation where I grew up either. So
Yeah. Oh, it is being recorded. Okay. So let's go on to the next. Now here I just wrote down some basic notes about what are the different modes of transportation that we could have as examples. So we got like wheelchair, your sports chair. You can get out. You can take yourself down to the market, to the whatever, and get yourself some like 7-Eleven or Circle K or any one of those stores. You want a sports drink? Go get yourself a sports drink. You know, ask your parents, am I allowed to go do this? And you know, you'll start building up some of that independence. Even just moving your chair up and down a curb and figuring out how to stop your chair at a stoplight and press the button. It's going to take a little bit of, well, I need to hold things here, I need to do these things here. You'll learn this type of things by hanging out with your family first, and then you can learn to do that on your own as you progress. That's what gaining that independence looks like. Some people have a scooter, okay? Not like scooter can be anything. It can be a real powerful scooter, or it can just be kind of a little putt-putt scooter that you just transfer from your chair into a scooter and you're going like 10 miles an hour. Or, you know, it could be a actual scooter, but, you know, for me, it goes a little too fast. You know, I'm not quite sold on the safety precautions of those type of scooters. So you got crutches, you know. Crutches have wear and tear on your shoulders. So you'll want to do it for exercise and for moving, and maybe if you go on a hike or something like that. But maybe you're not going to want to go walk 4 miles down to the store in your crutches because it takes a lot of whatever. So maybe your chair is a better solution for that if you have a chair. We've got the bus, the train, the tram, and the subway, and I put all those together because you're relying on public transportation, and it all looks different whatever city that you're in. So if you want to go take the bus down to a basketball game, Joseph, like let's say you want to go watch the Golden State Warriors get beat by the Sacramento Kings, like for the 8th time in a row, you know, that I know that happens like all the way. Why are you shaking your head? They're horrible. Just kidding. Then so then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get online, look up schedules. You're going to want to find out, sometimes not all the trams or not all the buses have a wheelchair lift built into them all. You might have to wait for that one. So the key is to do your homework before you leave your house. And even if it means talking to someone on a phone, calling them up and saying, hey, I'm going to take the bus to X, Y, and Z. Can you please help me out with this? And you're doing your homework. I'll cover it a little bit later. Google Maps will allow you to kind of plot out an accessible route as well, and it'll tell you all the different things that you can use along the way, and that helps out as well. You can also use, if you're in a city, you can use Lyft, Uber, and taxis. I would say you do that with your parents' permission if you're old enough to do something like that, and some of those have some caveats built into it. Carnisha, feel free to stop me at any time when if you have something. I do not mind you interrupting me at all.
okay.
So like with Lyft, Uber, and taxi, you know, sometimes you have to in advance ask for, you know, 24 hours. Hey, I need a vehicle at my house, because if you have a power chair, for example, you're going to have to ask the company to set up a vehicle that has a lift that can handle your power chair. Yes, Abby.
So when I'm old enough, like for traveling, when you go to airports, you can call them in advance and you can like request hand controls, right?
Yes.
For rental places for cars.
You can. And what's the most important part about that is you call them. Call them.
Well, you have to give them 24-hour notice at least.
Yes. I bring my own.
Yeah, I want to. buy some removable ones so I can drive my dad's truck or something.
Yeah.
Because like right now it's kind of hard because I share a vehicle with my brother.
Yeah.
So, like I can only have one car, but he can drive any car.
Yeah. No, because one's stick probably and one's automatic. Is that what's going?
I have like I want to buy a portable set
Yeah.
of hand controls, but I have the permanent right now.
Okay. And so I like the portable ones because you can actually take them apart. Yes, Emily.
What kind of car do you drive, Abby?
I have a 95 Ford Explorer.
Oh.
It's kind of like it's not like a truck, but it's like more of a suburban kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Like van-ish. I don't
I'm
know.
trying to see what kind of car I would want.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to go for a Range Rover. People were saying it's too high, and I'm like, oh, okay.
These are really good questions and things to talk about each other with, because when I'm looking. Oh, go ahead, Carnation.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I don't know how to use portable hand controls. That's just me personally. But Abby is right. When you do call, you can not only can you request the car to have hand controls, but you can also request the type of car you want. Like me, I don't prefer to drive big cars, so I always request the smaller car. So just keep those things in mind too when you're doing things like that.
Yeah, and like Emily, when you're looking for a car, it's mostly just like what works for you, because like everybody into cars differently and stuff.
Yeah.
Because like I can get into trucks, but I prefer cars to drive because just for my chair, because I have to put my chair in the passenger seat.
Yeah, that's what
But
I was going for.
Also with friends, I can put it in the way back, so it's out of everybody's way.
Yeah, that's also what I was going for. Also, it's like it fits like two chairs.
Yeah.
And it fits. So like if I wanted to bring like my friend Lourdes, everyone knows Lourdes, but if I wanted to take her on with like a road trip with me, I could put her chair in the back and I could put my chair in the back also, and it's very spacious.
Yeah, when you're looking at cars and to buy trucks, you really got to look at your needs. Are you going to be taking a hand cycle? Are you going to be taking your everyday chair and your sports chair and some luggage and some friends? So you got to ask yourself that. Do you want a minivan? Okay, not all of us want a minivan because, minivan. But minivans are so crazy spacious. You can put those seats down. You have like the most amount of room I've ever seen. But who wants a minivan? So it just kind of depends. Also, you can look at pricing. A used old SUV from 1990s, early 1990s, those aren't terribly expensive. Take some time.
And I got mine in super condition that has the least amount of miles than any car in our driveway. So
yeah, for me, non-expensive is between 2,000-3,000 up to like 8,000. That's still a used car, but you can get some quality in there, and you have to look at take the disability portion out of it. You're looking at a used car. You got to look at different other things. So ask your parents about that, or do your own research on what you specifically want, because there's all sorts of things that you need to look at a car in general.
but having your own independence is like so worth the money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Ernesto, can you hear me? How many of these modes of transportation have you done yourself? If you look at my list of stuff. You can just name any of them.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah. Have you ever taken a plane?
By myself?
No, not by yourself, but with your family.
Yes.
Okay. So you've been able to get onto a plane, and that whole event? How did that go? Did you roll you down to the front of the plane, and then they took your wheelchair away from you and sat in the seat? How did that go?
Let's see. I don't quite remember. It was when I was playing wheelchair basketball down in the Bay Area.
Okay. That sounds well. Hey, you've been on a plane. Emily,
Yeah.
had your hand up?
Oh, I was gonna say I've taken the Uber.
Yeah. What was the experience like that?
It's kind of like a bus, but it's in a car. I took one of those Uber disability ones.
Okay. Because there's a difference.
People with they have on the app they have a wheelchair car. Well, it's a van, and they have like their little ramp, and they help you in there. And they do tie downs like in the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've taken that, and I've taken the plane,
Yeah.
and I've also taken the bus, my school bus. Well, when I was in school, I took the school bus.
Yeah.
And then my dad also has a van. So.
Well, nice. Hey, Kumaka, I know you've traveled around a bit.
Yeah.
So if you're going to tell me something about getting on a plane, tell me something about that process.
Well, I check in. I go to the plane, and they put me in the the aisle seat, the aisle chair,
Okay.
and
Did you
they,
transfer?
yeah, I transferred.
Okay.
And
Seat with you?
did I take my bag with me?
Did you take your seat from your wheelchair with you?
Oh yeah, I did.
Right? Why? So that right there is a really important thing when you're flying on a plane. Take your seat with you on the plane for two reasons. A, sit on it and you'll be comfortable. You don't want them to mess up and lose your seat off the chair as the chair goes underneath the plane. So no matter where you sit, at least you'll be able to sit on your comfortable seat while they solve the problem of finding a possible wheelchair or something. But the idea is they take you right up to the plane, and you get in it, and then your wheelchair goes immediately down. It doesn't go like back to the airport and along something. It just goes straight from that part right down to the bottom of the plane. Yes, Emily.
And when I used to fly out to when we flew out to Chico when we were doing the camp like regularly, they would put you in the front seats instead of like in the back seats.
Yeah.
So those were pretty much reserved for us.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's good. All right. So, has anyone balloons to their chair and gone floating in the sky? No. Joseph, you look like you have. No? All right. Aurora, 20,000.
Bungee jumping cords. I think you have those on your chair.
Oh no,
Mayo.
that's how I connect my pet flying dinosaurs with bungee cords. The bungee cords really help soften the blow. Their wings are flying. You know, you really like do this bumpy thing, but the bungee cords help even that out a little bit. So just So one of here, I'm going to go back to the last thing. You're getting really good experience from everyone here at camp, not just from the coaches. Abby and Emily have gone through some stuff. Kumaka, Ernesto, everyone's had a little bit of experience. One of the most important things to do is to advocate for yourself. If the Uber driver shows up, or a Lyft driver shows up, or the bus driver shows up, and you're going to transfer into a chair and they don't know how, you're going to have to learn how to explain it to people. You're going to have how to advocate for yourself. If they didn't offer you the thing that you wanted, I'll get to you, Abby. If they didn't offer the thing that you wanted and you paid for, then, and they didn't give it to you, then you need to follow up with that and make sure that if they offered you something and didn't give it to you, you need to follow up with that, because then they'll just continue to do that action. Abby, did you have something to say?
I always struggle with my school with that, with like the buses, because I'm the only one there in a wheelchair. And and I play track. So whenever we go on the buses for like meets, they're always like, oh, so your chair can fold up and go underneath the bus. And I always have to be like, no, my chair doesn't fold. You have to put it inside the bus. because it doesn't fit. Or like they're like, okay, so how are you gonna get on the bus? And you always have to be like, well, I have my friend who can carry me because they're not gonna get an accessible bus for me. So you just have to like tell them what you need.
And therein lies some of the Abby, I may have lost your video, but can you still hear me? Well, we'll let Abby figure that out. Emily, did you have something?
Well, they should. Isn't it like required to have an accessible bus for people? Like you have
You know, it is, but you always have to like that means that you need to say something. Parents need to say something, and that needs to be brought up to the school city board. Carnisha, what do you think about that?
Yeah, my mom actually had to fight for the bus to be accessible to me. And it actually didn't even get approved till I was in the 11th grade.
My mom,
I went all of those years and I did not have transportation to school.
Yeah.
We're working right now because they told me I couldn't sprint for track. So we have to fight them on that right now.
Yeah.
They're because they're letting me, but they were just like not listening to any of the information we gave them. Like we gave them CAF numbers, like we sent them videos, like how I'm allowed to race, and like I got to a race and like, yeah, you're not allowed to do this. So
Hey, Abby, I'll send you information on that because I think it's in Ohio. It's a really well-known case, actually, and it's not old. It might have been from a few years ago, but so the group that I work with, the National Center on Health, Physical Activity, and Disability, or NCPAD, they're good friends with the guy, the high school kid who had to fight his school and basically brought national attention to it, showing that the school will be sued if they don't follow through and allow you to race and do track. And so, yeah, there's already been a huge precedent set, and so I can send you that information about who to contact to get it and to give it to your school.
Yeah, so they're not letting you do track with all the other people?
no, well they are, but they were just like trying to find a reason for me not to race basically. So I showed up and they're like, yeah, we don't know how to do that, so we're not going to do it, when we sent them all the information about how to. But
Yeah.
my parents are working on it, and so is my 504 director. So
Yeah, I've been discriminated against. When I was in high school, I've been discriminated against, like, doing cheer and dance. I tried to ask them, they're like, no, we can't, because they try to make an excuse like, oh, I was gonna hurt the other girls, like with my chair, but it's like I'm not gonna hurt.
yeah.
And so all these things that you guys are going through and that you're doing, you're advocating for yourself, the way that change is going to happen is by doing what you're doing, is by standing and educating and letting people know and saying this, this isn't right. Because the idea that they can provide X, Y, and Z sporting opportunity for these kids, not these group of kids, means that there's discrimination going on.
Right.
So education has to happen, it just has to be a constant, process. But there are some sports out there which do actually adapt well to a person's with a disability. And so some of them are taking those steps, while others aren't quite there yet. And so we just have to keep fighting that battle. So let's move on to the next part. It brings us to looking for things online and educating yourselves to try and find resources for things that you want to do. So one of the things you can do, like some of the terms are reaching out to disability organizations like Centers for Independent Living. Where did she go? Oh, Emily, I thought was actually going to one of these programs, and this was sort of helping her out. Is that right, Emily? Hold on, let me unmute you. Go ahead.
Which one?
Are you doing a program?
For people with special needs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing that once school starts again for everyone.
And what kind of program is that?
It's a program where you go, it's pretty much like school, but you're working and like you're traveling and like working and like you get paid. So it's pretty much like a job, but it's learning how to do that job.
Oh, that's good.
So I don't stay at one job. I have multiple. Like kind of like volunteering, but you get paid.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also, you've got to try your best to find out as much information you can before you even leave your house about where it is, where you want to go. You can use some of the adaptive, well, not adaptive. There's apps out there for your phone that help you. So even some of the basic stuff built into your iPhone, there's hands-free type things that will help you when you're driving. That'll help you to give you directions. There's resources online. For example, if you wanted to buy a set of hand controls for your car, you can go to places like Amazon or sportaid.com, and you can actually buy hand controls that you can put in the car yourself, and then you can remove them when you want to go put them into a different car, or you can remove them and take them apart even smaller and put them in a bag and take them with you as you go traveling. So we wanted to go over some basic driving tips. A lot of us have had different experiences as we've gone to get our driving lessons online. For a person who's 16 or something years old and is going to get their license, they go ahead and they take their driver's written test. You pass the test, and then you sign up to take the actual driving test. Mm-hmm. So then what does that look like? You should just be going down to your DMV and saying, all right, I passed the written test. Now I'd like to take the driving test. And you need a car, and you need hand controls in your car. You have to have the ability to drive your own car. Emily, did you have a question?
I heard that if you turn a certain age, you don't have to take the written test. You just take the driver's test.
I was 29 when I started driving, just because I was in college for a long time, didn't have a car, but I still had to take the written test. So I'm not sure if that's quite a thing yet. You still have to take the written test before you take the actual driving test. Yes, Abby.
You can be 18, but you have to take the written test. You just don't have to have your permit for 6 months, like if you're 15 and a half.
That's the difference.
And you don't have to do the driver's training course, I think, because I had to do that and have a certain amount of hours with the instructor in the car.
Yeah.
So I think when you're 18, you don't have to do that. You still have to take the test, though.
Yeah. So there is that little equation about you're under a certain age, you have to do X amount of driving with someone or an instructor. So we did want to give you some information of, you can just go to the DMV and sign up to take a test. As long as you have a car, you've taken the written test, and you have some equipment that you need for your car. And so, but there are some people that have found themselves where, in order to get their car set up, they have to take their car to a place to get evaluated. Right, Carnisha, am I right on this process? Where
yeah, I had to get my car evaluated. Well, they told me that I would need to get it evaluated when I got my second car in order to get hand controls. But I had already been through the driving exam, and I'd had a car for like 4 years, so I didn't see the need to do that again. So there's always ways around certain things, especially if you're not a first-time driver. Now, first-time driver, you do need to get evaluated. Well, they told me I had to get evaluated. So I don't know how it works out there, but here, that was what I was told.
So yeah, I didn't get my car evaluated.
Okay. Yeah, that's the idea. Is there are some places out there like to package evaluation with actually physically installing hand controls. They're two separate things. And some places out there are going, nope, it's all one. It's a $4,000 package. In order for you to get hand controls on your car, this needs to happen first. When in reality, we all.
My friend installed mine, who's a car guy.
So she has to know
So,
who's
yeah.
a car guy that can just.
He helped fix his friend's car, who's a quadriplegic, so he fixed mine. So
Okay.
they
So-
work fine.
Yeah. So we sometimes if you know a person that can get under your car and take these things which come with instructions on how to put them on your car, you can go ahead and put them on under there. But make sure you trust the person that's doing it. You just need to show up to the DMV with a car that you can physically drive.
Yeah. The way I got my hand controls, though, I was super lucky. So someone in my family is a quadriplegic, and he had an extra set of hand controls, so he gave them to me. So that saved me a lot of money and like time finding them.
Yeah.
But we just had to work on my car because they were designed for a BMW. So we just had to like retrofit the like thing since they're the what is it, I don't know, permanent ones.
Yeah. It just you got to go on there and screw some things to a drivetrain and do some things versus the
Removable ones.
ones they kind of are attached to the gas and the brake.
Yeah.
So hand controls or any adaptive equipment looks differently. Sometimes if one leg is shorter than the other, then you can actually just put a block on one of the pedals. Sometimes you have limited movement with your range of movement of your hand, so they'll install a smaller steering wheel on top of your regular steering wheel to have a smaller diameter of a circle. Sometimes if you don't have the ability to grasp a wheel, they have a 3-pegged thing that you just fit your hand right into, and that gets you really secure in it, and then you can still use the range of motion with your hand to steer what you need to do. It looks different for everyone, so you need to look at the vehicles and you need to talk with your family and yourself and figure out what is it going to take for me to drive. Can I handle just hand controls? Can I handle just portables? Do I need to, if I have a power chair, do I need to get a van conversion that lets me drive right up into the vehicle, lock myself in, and then I can use my arms, So we also wanted to mention that when you start driving, pay attention to the lines, pay attention to when you start driving, you're going to realize, I need to get my chair out, so I need to make sure I have enough room on that one side that you pull your chair out, or if and you need to make sure that you can get out and back in. If someone parks too close to you and no one was parked there initially, and then suddenly come back and someone's parked there, you're gonna have to wait for that person to come. So you have to sort of think about as you're parking the car, how much spacing you have all around you and how much space you actually need. One of the things that exists out there, if you buy a brand new car right off the lot, most car companies will give you a set of hand controls and install them into the car as part of that brand new car's fee for free. So they won't add something onto it. They won't add a certain amount of money. It's just going to come with it. And that is one of the little perks of buying a brand new car. Yes, Emily.
How much do hand controls usually cost?
I've seen them range from, if you want a portable set of hand controls, I've seen them range from $250 on Amazon up to like $500 or $600 for the portable sets. But for me,
The portable ones are the ones that you could take off of your car and put them into another car, right?
yeah, and they work on automatic cars. If your car has a shift in it, I don't think you can. The car has to be specially modified in order for you to be able to drive from a car like that has a manually shifting.
Oh, okay.
Portable hand controls don't work in that just like right off the bat. to install a set of hand controls into a car, you just need to find someone that can do it, that's willing to do it. So Abby found someone in her family. I know Carrie found someone that she knew, and that's just willing to go in there, mount it to your drive train of where the steering wheel is, and get it ready for you to connect to the right parts. There are places, but you can find places that will do this for you, but it might be very expensive. You know, you can get to $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 for them to do that. So you just kind of need to look around.
Okay.
So now we're on to, here's an example of a set of hand controls that I found online that we can look to see what they look like to just take them on and off. I turned the audio off because I don't think we really need to hear this person. That right there is a spinner knob. So you put the knob onto your wheel, you mount it, and now you have a way to turn your wheel all the way around without having to push the pressure on the wheel and keep the pressure on, because we're using the gas and the brake with our other hand. The knob allows us to maintain full control of the vehicle as we move, as we use it. I like the knob. It helps a lot.
Without it, I feel like I cannot drive.
Without it, I feel a little bit unsafe. I'm like, yee.
Right.
I agree. My knob is a lifesaver.
Yeah. So some of these portable hand controls, they come with a strap that wraps around the steering wheel from one side all the way around to the other side. And what that does is it keeps it kind of not falling against your seat. It keeps it up a little bit. For me, my legs are small. I don't mind that. My hand controls just sit right next to me when I drive, and they're right at my hip. So I don't use that strap. You'll see that all these really are two clamps that open up. You clamp them onto the gas and the brake, and then you clamp them back down real tight. That chain you saw acts as a sort of emergency. Oops, the clamp came a little loose. And so what you're seeing here, it looks like a crutch. What you're seeing here is everyone the same height? Does everyone have the same length of arm? Does everyone have the same reach? We don't. So most of the portable hand controls come and they're adjustable. And so you can make it fit to where it feels really comfortable. When I started driving, I changed my hand controls at least 4 or 5 times because I like the gas thing being a lot longer than the brake thing being not as long. And so I was playing with it until I found that really good adjustment. Yes, Emily.
Can you actually make hand controls at home?
Can you make them at home? I would say I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
If you know, I mean, I like to rely on these type of hand controls because they're made with aluminum. They've got these pieces, like it's already done for me, and I can rely on these type of things. So, if you went to school and you were a machine welder and you know how to put pieces and parts together and things like that, I'm sure someone could. But make sure you have a background in putting together pieces like this before you do that. So that's a safety mechanism, that chain. These are different than what I have. It's pretty close, but these work over a much larger pedal.
Cause it looks like you could just make it at home, like you just need a piece of like a crutch, and then.
Here's when we see how it completely works, you'll see why it helps to have the whole piece, because it uses a lever to separate between gas and the brake. You'll see how it kind of works. So they put the knob on, little carbon fiber knob, and the knob moves freely. So this is one model. But you see how she's doing it? By one hand, by pressing, it's gonna give her. She's gonna give it some gas by putting it to the right, and then give it a brake by putting it to the left. For me, on my hand, I have two separate knobs. I have a really big knob to my brake, and then I use my thumb for my gas.
What's the circle thingy? What's that for? Like,
It goes on your steering wheel.
yeah, but what?
It's so that if you didn't have that when you're doing a full circle, sometimes it feels as though you're losing like a grip on the steering wheel. And if you don't maintain the pressure on the wheel as you're turning, like your hand will slip off and you're in the middle of a turn in the middle of a road. So the knob lets you have full control without ever losing it. And like, because the knob, you can hold onto it really easily. And the knob spins with the wheel.
Okay, so then the knob is for the
Steering wheel. It's for the steering wheel.
Oh, okay. So it's not for the hand controls.
Controls, yeah, and that's just one version of the hand controls. Let's move on to the next one. I think I've got. Here's another set of hand controls that are mounted into the car.
Those are the types that I have.
Yeah. This one looks a little different, but let's just check it out. So push down, pull up is the gas. Down, up is gas, push is brake. At least that's how I've seen it. Is that how yours works, Carnisha?
Mine is a push rock.
A push rock?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Push it down for the brake, pull it back for the gas.
Oh, well, okay.
They gave me that one first, and I could not use that.
Oh, this one that we're watching?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was like, no, this one's not gonna work for me. Mine looks just like that one.
I haven't seen this either, but see, at least we get an idea. So when you're asking me, Emily, can you make things and can you install things yourself? You kind of got to know what you're doing to install the ones that really, they call them portable versus mounted. The ones that are mounted in your car, you better know what you're doing by taking your car apart and I don't know if there's more to it than this. Let's see what happens. Okay. But you also notice that the hand controls are there, and the ones that mount in your car means that a person who can drive a vehicle using their legs, it's not in their way.
Yeah, not at all.
Get in the way of a person who's driving, a person who can use their legs. I've been with a couple people who have, it didn't bother them. They actually could drive with the hand controls on. But it's a preference thing, because some people are like, nope, I want nothing down there while I'm in control of this vehicle, which makes sense. So I just go ahead and turn them off, take them off, put it in the back seat. Oh, see, there's the grip I was talking about. Like if you don't have enough grip strength, there's little add-ons that this company has. All right, so that is the end of our mobility talk. If anyone has any questions, now is a great time. What, Kumaka,
Yeah.
what kind of vehicle would you want in the future?
Like a van.
Like a van?
Yeah.
Having seen the two ways to put hand controls in today, which one would you choose? Portable versus mounted in the car.
Portable.
Portable?
Yeah.
Joseph, same question to you.
Probably use portable because you can use it in a car.
In any. Yeah. Cool. Ernesto, what do you think?
I would probably use portable.
Probably the portable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I like that. What? Give me a little more. What kind of car would you like? Would you like a regular car, or a truck, or a van, or would you prefer flying by bungee cords and pterodactyls?
Oh, that sounds fun.
No, I agree. I kind of want that too. I don't know how safe it'll be, but you know.
I don't know what kind of car I would want, honestly.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's something to kind of look into. If that's, one person's level of independence is different from another person's level of independence. It all looks different.
Mhm.
So we have to rely on different technologies to allow ourselves to get out in the world and to do what we want to do. So for me, like I play sports, I wanted to make sure my car could handle my hand cycle folded up and pieces taken off with my wheelchair and my luggage and all my stuff put in there. And I actually tested that out. Any vehicle I had, I said, okay, is it 6.5 feet long and it can handle my hand cycle? Did you have a question, Joseph? Okay. Well, if no one has any more questions, we can call this the end of our session. If people just want to stay in chat room, if they can, we can talk about whatever you like.
And just to remind everyone, at 2 o'clock, Coach Derek is going to be talking about swimming.
Okay.
Yeah. It's new. Abby, have you seen any